Good day, everyone. I will first introduce myself to you. I am Maria Chabelita Oronos, taking up Bachelor of Science in Architecture at the De La Salle College of St. Benilde. And today's presentation is prior to my architectural thesis proposal under the supervision of architect Noel Nicolas. I will be discussing brief but substantial information about my thesis topic, which is about third-hand smoking and the application of locally sourced raw materials to address the problem. As I researched on possible issues that was still not given or received any proper attention, I have found out that aside from first-hand and second-hand smoking, there is another way you can be exposed with harmful chemical substances emitted during the consumption or combustion of tobacco products and other smoke-emitting paraphernalia. The greater stake of this problem is that even after a long period of time, we can still be prone to intaking those substances such as nicotines and carcinogens that can cause lung diseases. And on top of that, as I dig deeper into this issue, I have found out that I can possibly help and create something that can lessen the impacts and health of third-hand smoke through the principles and application of architecture in the Philippine casinos or my chosen typology. And thus, that's how I came up with my proposal entitled Terceroply, a design study on Manila hemp and Talisay seeds as tobacco products residue adsorption material to address third-hand smoke in Philippine casinos. And as I introduce my research, I wanted to ask each of you if you have ever been into a room full of smoke or a room where no one is smoking yet you can still smell odors that might be coming from a cigarette. If yes, that is simply the environmental tobacco smoke or ETS for short that refers to the tobacco residues that can be passed to a non-smoker involuntarily through breathing and touching contaminated areas. According to Tobacco Atlas, there were actually three types of smoke exposure, namely the first-hand, second-hand, and third-hand smoke, wherein it can be seen that residues of tobacco products stays longer than we actually know, and if not properly cleaned or sanitized, it can lead to worst-case scenarios. Scientific study shows that smoking indoors drastically increases the concentration of air pollutants. And some studies also shown that higher consistent levels of toxic particles can be found when air is recirculated, such as in air-conditioned environments. And here are the few of the thousand air pollutants and carcinogen causing cancer that can be found in the third-hand smoke or environmental tobacco smoke. As for the existing basic precautions regarding the third-hand smoke, it has been proven that it cannot be eliminated by simply opening the windows and providing good ventilation. We usually use bleach, ammonia, and other chemicals that can also leave residues that releases particles into the air that may still cause issues with breathing and allergies. There are also three phases on how ETS can affect our health. It may start with simple asthma and coughs, ear infection, and in worst case scenarios could lead to cancer and other respiratory diseases. Because as per study, tobacco smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals, including hundreds that are toxic and about 70 that can cause cancer. According to the World Health Organization, 15 billion tobacco products are being sold worldwide, and it also shown that 43% of male Filipinos and 8.5% of female Filipinos aging from 15 years old and above already started smoking. And additional information is that 10 Filipinos die every hour due to tobacco-related diseases. Tobacco industry is a powerful force that does not fear the actions of smaller nation-states because of high demand and global market power. In this light, it can be seen that on 2016, the revenue from the top 6 world largest company was almost the gross national income of our country. Aside from revenues our country can get from tobacco industry, Philippine tobacco industry is also known as the strongest tobacco lobby in Asia. And Philippines is also the 15th biggest consumer of cigarettes in the world. And to cater the high demand for tobacco products, 0.29% of agricultural land is devoted to tobacco cultivation, distributed in 23 provinces all around the Philippines, covering approximately 30,352 hectares that can produce at least 84.96 billion pieces of cigarette a year. Now that I have discussed about environmental tobacco smoke, smoking, and tobacco industry, let's move on to the coexistence of smoking and gambling. According to the study of Center for Addiction and Mental Health, they have examined cross-cure activity among batches of regular smokers, casino players, and cigarette smoking casino players. They are all exposed to discrete cigarette, poker, and natural cues, while skin conductance and psychological urges to smoke and gamble were measured. And it showed that smoking gamblers had greater skin conductance reactivity to cues and stronger subjective urges to smoking and gambling cues compared to individuals who only smoke or only gamble. Now, according to the 2015 Gambling Prevalence Survey, 79% or a total of 17,314 are confirmed smokers and gamblers at the same time, and the bigger portion of the respondents were males. According to PAGCOR, Philippine ranks fourth for having the highest gambling revenue based on tourists in the whole Asia, gaining a 22.9% increase from the year 2018. On top of that, the top four casinos are located in the capital of the Philippines, which is Manila, attracting more tourists to come. Based on my research, casinos were located alongside with our high-end hotels, wherein they attract or lure hotel guests through a typical casino layout. As for the casino designs, here in the Philippines, designers incorporate low ceiling and bright lights to make it the gamblers lose track of their time. One of the key ways that casinos keeps its guests from going home is by engaging all their senses. Most of casinos here in the Philippines allow smoking in their premises. After most casino owners, led by the President and Chief Executive of Manila Casino Travelers International Hotel Group, Kingston Sian, write a petition to President Rodrigo Duterte from being exempted to the Executive Order Number 26 or the smoking ban law. Furthermore, these are the most affected surfaces by third-hand smoke, namely the ceiling, floors, walls, and gaming tables. These are some of the simulations I made based on the research of smoke behavior from Philippine Academy of Pediatric Pulmonologists Incorporation. After discussing the main points of my research proposal, that led me to develop a material with high capacity to minimize tobacco product residue. This study aims to improve the indoor air quality in the Philippine casinos and to propose an alternative surfacing material by utilizing the locally found raw materials to address the main problem of the study. This study will be beneficial to the development of science in studying other possible use for Manila hemp and Talisay seeds, especially in preventing the transmission of the substances from tobacco products inside the spaces which are subjected to environmental tobacco smoke. This study will discuss about effects of ETS down to which natural fiber can be used to mitigate the environmental issues caused by ETS. These are the whys this research must answer in order to come up with a appropriate thesis statement. After analyzing the dialectics of the study, I have found out that exploring the capabilities of Philippine agricultural products can actually help minimize ETS health risks. This study is limited to one typology, which is the Philippine casinos, but is open to further study in the future. Some tests are also limited and only tests made before the pandemic will be shown. Now, we're down to the frameworks and related studies of the research proposal. The process started on identifying the focus of the study, which are the casino environment, environmental tobacco smoke, and the application to architecture. The effects of third-hand smoke is then identified that led to founding a certain common ground for the three main concepts of the study. Developing a material will then lead to the sustainability with the design study, which may account further into lowering health risks we can get from the third-hand smoke. So this will be the flow of the whole study, starting from defining the research area, which we did in the first part of the presentation, and now we're on to the material research in order to create our final alternative building material. For a thorough process of how I did my material research and analysis, I started with finding the most possible raw material that are abundant in our own land, and then undergone through various testing and analysis to determine the best formulation to create the material. We will now be digging to the development of the end product of the study. So, I have studied the potentials of three natural fibers found here in the Philippines. The first one is the kenaf, which is, according to the studies, can absorb odors when incorporated with textiles. It has many pores that serves as a natural trap. So, this is simply the study I was talking about, the potential of kenaf to absorb air particles. So, this is a lago. It is usually harvested in wild forest here in the Philippines. Its fiber is often used in combination with other fibers. It is known to contain natural mucilage that helps disperse the fibers. It also has its own natural resistance to insects. And finally, the last one is the Manila hemp, which is also called Musa textilis or abaca fiber, which has highly porous surface, making it a good absorbing material, which can trap odor and dirt. It also had a high tensile strength, making it good for building purposes. Manila hemp is being used in Japan as bed odor absorbing sheet. Another study also showed that Manila hemp, or the Musa textilis, is being used as the filtration sheet in the surgical face mask we tend to use now on a daily basis to protect ourselves from getting or transmitting diseases. Why did I choose natural fiber? Simply because it is very cost effective, sustainable, and has a lot of natural properties that can be incorporated through architecture. So this is the list I made to choose which of the natural fibers I studied had the most potential, and these are the standard test methods I found in the database and studies from Philippine fiber and development industry. So here in this slide, we can see that both of the criteria I made showed that Manila hemp got the highest result. This is the production process on making the final product. So this is what Manila hemp fiber look like, and I used the S2 grade supplied from Catanduanes, which is the largest producer of Manila hemp in Asia. Stage 1. The fiber production. Preparing the fibers. Weighing it. And now for the binding agent, I use zeolite and activated charcoal as an additive. This is what they look like. The potential of activated charcoal varies from wide range. It can both adsorb and absorb tiny particles because it have a small, low volume pores that increases the surface area available for chemical reactions. Another info is that 1 gram of carbon can cover 1,000 square meters. So, this is a schematic framework of a zeolite. It have a honeycomb structure which makes it good at absorbing liquids and neutralizing compounds. Last but not the least, I also use the seeds of Talisay tree, also known as the umbrella tree. Its seeds can be compared to a pili nut. It bears abundant fruits and just falls on the ground, being neglected. Studies about its seeds shows that its natural oil can bind and precipitate proteins and various other organic compounds including amino acids and alkaloids. This is one of the case studies about Talisay seeds I referred to, which validates its odor reduction ability. This is the list of properties of Talisay seeds according to the database I gathered from different scientific studies. This is what Talisay seeds look like. Prepping the Talisay seeds. Mixing of fibers and binders. Molding and pressing. Let's move on to the tests I have conducted. So first, I had backyard testing for the following tests listed on the screen. I initially made 4 test samples. Here, I measured thickness of each samples. I also evaluate its visual color. I also conducted a flame test, also measured its water repellency, and lastly, conducted an adhesion test. These are my initial findings, which led me to further evaluate the test sample number 4, for it mostly passed all the tests I conducted. Now for the laboratory testings, final products are produced and tested at Department of Science and Technology, Forest Products Research and Development Institute at University of the Philippines, Los Baños. I wasn't able to collect the specimen used for the testing due to the lockdown. It was the result for the internal band showed that the thinnest sample needs the higher load to break the bond between layers. For modulus of rupture, it showed that 2 mm and 4 mm can be used in most surfaces, for it can bond without breaking. Thicker specimen has the greater stability performance suitable for ceiling panel or wall panelings. Each specimen has relatively half the same water absorption capacity. It shows that the specimen falls on average standard density for veneers and panels. Acceptable moisture content for wood products used for structures are between 6 to 14%. Lastly, exposing the panels to tobacco smoke according to the standard practice for referencing suprathreshold odor intensity, each specimen falls below maximum allowable rate for odor strength, intensity, annoyance, nuisance, and objectionable. So this is the overall specimen data of the laboratory test I conducted. Feel free to pause the video and read through the table shown on the screen. And now for the action part, let's move on to the product's business plan and application. I would like to introduce to you my company, named MCO Plus Supply Company, the pioneer company that will offer interior wall finishes and ceiling panels made of Manila hemp, specially made for third-hand smoke. Our company's vision is to become well known for producing expert quality and design services by using our panels, especially curated for environmental tobacco smoke. It was also our mission to offer the highest caliber products with reasonable pricing and is made with our very own skilled workers. MCO Plus Supply Company would focus solely on the detailed satisfaction of our dear clients and to be efficient in the industry. So these are our possible clients. However, we started up specializing to cater casino design services. I also did a product benchmark between the conventional materials versus our very own Terceroply. Here, we can see the advantages of using Terceroply by looking at its composition compared to wood veneers and laminates. If there were a list of advantages, there also comes the list of disadvantages of using wood-based products. They all had the downside that they all need proper maintenance. This is a little comparative analysis between the conventional material versus Terceroply. So for the costing, I added up 30% markup to my total production cost per square meter. It ranges from 197 to 845 pesos per square meter depending on the thickness. On the other hand, conventional material costs between 550 pesos to 1,600 pesos per square meter depending also on the thickness, which is 58% higher than the cost of Terceroply. I also included parts of financial plans in this video presentation, but you may refer to the book for more detailed and complete data. So, here is my total startup funding in starting up my small company. Here, I use linear regression to assume my business projected sales. I use it to interpret a scalar response for the company's projected sales and net profit. On this slide is a predictive analysis on my company's return of investment, assuming that the basis for the ROI is net on revenue and that it is VAT inclusive. This was the actual demand for veneers and board products for the years 2011 to 2015. After computing for the company's total sales, I assessed that MCO Plus Supply Company will have 16.74% total market share for the first 5 years of its production. Now, let's pass on to the installation and application of Terceroply. Our product comes in different thickness, dimensions, sizes, and shapes that can be used as wall covers, ceiling tiles, tabletops, and can be incorporated at mobile interiors. It also has easy installation by using the recommended adhesive and skilled worker to apply it. As I have said, it can come with different sizes. It can be customized to your desired wall covering with minimal installation tools needed. It also comes with different patterns and connections, namely the shiplap connection, beadboard connection, V-groove connection, board and batten connection, drop siding, rustic planking, And for the ceiling panels, it can be installed using suspension grids, band rasters, so it can act as a concealed grid, suspended and hanging ceiling. The finish and pattern of the Terceroply will be very raw and simple, as we would like to retain its appearance to look more natural. We will be toning it with warm tones to provide an array of psychological benefits and the like. As I have stated on my scope and limitation, I will focus only on Philippine casinos. However, Terceroply had a wide range of use. Its versatility can be used in different spaces like terminals, bars, and designated smoking rooms. Here are some prototypes on where we could apply our product in the future. It can be used as an alternative to woods or laminated panels, which are often used in interiors of casinos. I have now come to the end of my presentation. In summary, I discussed about environmental tobacco smoke, its effect and its current measures to prevent it. I have also discussed the gaming and tobacco industry in the Philippines, leading to the development of our company's product, the Terceroply, its advantages and installations and applications, and a little introduction of the MCO Plus Supply Company. Again, I am Maria Chabilita Oronos. I sincerely appreciate your interest and attention today. I hope you've get something engaging from my presentation. Thank you.